The 7 laws are a recipe. You can't use 3 and ignore 4. They have a synergy. In this free webinar, you'll get a clear overview of all 7 laws, including the law of growth, which is the granddaddy, or the grandmother, as I like to say, and why forgiveness must come first. This isn't a teaser, it's foundational. If you want to stop living by precedent and start creating progress, claim your seat now. It's free, but the insight is priceless.
I don't know if you realize this, but the mechanism sitting between your ears is perfect, and you are quite literally a creative genius, and we're going to prove that to you. But what we're really here tonight to do is to talk about how to make 2026 the best year of your life. Aladdin's lab is real. And the 7 laws of the mind and a mastermind alliance unlock this primal power of being that we all have within us, so that you can transform and you can transcend those blocks that may have been holding you back up until now.
It turned out, listen, 98% of 5-year-olds tested were creative geniuses. 98%. So that old bell-shaped curve, 2% are technically idiots, 2% are technically geniuses, 17% slightly below average, 17% slightly above average, and the rest of us, that's what, 34, 36, 38, so 62% are average intelligence. It's totally wrong. It's totally wrong. It's not accurate at all. Okay. So later they followed those same kids for 25 years and tested them again 25 years later. Simon, only 2% ranked as creative geniuses. And I'm telling you right now, your genius is locked up, and you can help yourself unlock that genius by making some decisions today in your favor. If you don't think you've been conditioned, you've been perfectly conditioned. The machine or the matrix, whatever you want to call it, everybody that thinks it all knows that Star Wars and the Matrix, they're not movies. They're documentaries of the hero's journey. The machine, since the beginning of time, all the way back to the Greeks and before, with the insatiable appetite and relentless quest for control. And we know how they do it. And we see it right now in dozens and dozens of countries around the world. Scare them, divide them, demoralize them, and bring them to the circus. What's that? This will make you happy. This will make you successful. This will make you fit in. You're not thinking when you're buying into that nonsense. Our incredible gift, our creativity is locked up. We're the only life form on the planet with imagination, but it gets reduced to ego and chasing other people's values to what? Unconsciously, you don't even realize you're trying to fit in. And if you don't think so, look at your friends and look at how they dress and what their political affiliations are and their spiritual ideas are. You'll find you're pretty much the same. We're designed that way because we're tribal, and these machines take advantage of it. Your parents, I'm sure they did their best, okay? But they're byproducts of the same hidden agendas for control. Other people's ideas of how your life should be, right? To compete rather than create. You can be anything you want to be. That's what they tell you when you went to school. You can be, and it's based on the Prussian school system. You can be anything you want to be, but you better follow the rules like everybody else, because if you don't comply, you're going to live in a bridge, under a bridge in a box, but you can be anything you want to be. So we get this mixed message from the time that we're young. And so Nassau was really, Dr. Land, great man. He said, well, why do these geniuses vanish? What happens to them? Well, as it turns out, there's 2 types of thinking: divergent thinking, which is imagining new possibilities and building new ideas on ideas that you're learning. Individuality is discouraged in the schools or punished, and creativity gets discouraged. On the other hand, convergent thinking, which is what they want you thinking in school, is for evaluating and decision making. It's compliance rewarded, and competitiveness replaces creativity. You know how the kids that get A's all the time, a lot of them make fun of the people that get C's and D's, and there it is right there. There it is right here. So the blockade to your creativity is conditioning, and we either create our own reality, but most of us have forgotten that we were created by a creator, and we're supposed to create our own reality and contribute into the community our gifts that are unique, okay? But we don't. We end up being what? A copy of a copy of a copy. And this is not a good thing. So this is when the conditioning begins. This is what Land wrote. Because it rewards convergent and punishes divergent thinking, he wrote, When we look inside the brain, we find neurons are fighting each other and actually diminishing the power of the brain because we're constantly judging, criticizing, and censoring. So just think about yourself. Are you criticizing the Reds or criticizing the Blues or what's going on, but not taking care of the great potential in your own life? Just an aside, look at the news and politics. Are you reacting to that? Because if you are, you're sucked into it. Okay. The real problem is that convergent thinking, after 12 years of schooling, overrides divergent thinking, and your creativity gets diminished. And so we buy into this will make you happy, this will make you successful, this will make you fit in. Here's their actual graph right here, 98% of 5-year-olds. But what's important is curbing divergent thinking, okay, creates cognitive conflict, thereby depleting the brain capacity. Now, it still has the capacity, it's just been depleted. The ancients knew this. Nassau concluded we're born with the potential for creative genius, but by the time you're an adult, it's been beaten out of 98% of us. That's the George Land study. So can we rewire our non-creative adult brains? Yeah, we can. And this is why my work and my wife's work and Lori's work is not mainstream because, and Ched Lee's been here for a while, man, he'll tell you, it's work. It's work. But people are built towards 3 things right now. This is what everybody wants you to believe. It's comfortable, it's convenient, and it's instant. Folks, that's bullshit, okay? This is going to take some work. But I want to tell you the discipline of that work is so fantastic because it far outweighs the price. That price of discipline definitely outweighs the price of regret, okay? So it begins with some courage, okay? This isn't new. The ancients knew this before Nassau, meaning what? Your genius is real. There's greatness in you, okay? Both science and the illuminated ones offered proof. Imagine if you rediscovered or resurrected this creative genius that's in you and turned it loose on a big dream that's yours, not the way you've been conditioned to believe. So why do most people stay stuck?
95% of our life is coming from the programs of how to live life that we get in the first 7 years of life. And that's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich. The movie The Matrix is not science fiction. It's a documentary. Every human first 7 years is hypnosis. The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibrational frequency. When you put wires on a person's head, you read electroencephalograph, reading brain activity. A child below 7 has a lower vibration than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is imagination. That's how kids play a tea party with mud pies, but to them it's a real thing. A kid rides a broom, it's a horse. That's theta, imagination. Theta is also hypnosis. And the idea is this: before you can become conscious, if you don't have any programs, what are you going to be conscious of? So nature makes the first 7 years. What kind of programs are required to live on this planet? I say, how do you get them? Theta is hypnosis. You just watch. You watch your parents, you watch your siblings, and your community, because you have to learn how many 100,000 rules. Think about it. Just to be a functional member of a family and a functional member of a community, there are rules. Teach an infant these rules. You don't have to. First 7 years, they just observe it and just download it. And then I say, well, why is it relevant? Because this is the unfortunate fact. 95% of our life comes from those programs in the subconscious. Every day, only about 5% of their life are you using conscious, which is creative. 5%. And you don't see it because it's called subconscious, below conscious. And the Jesuits, for 400 years, they were boasting. People didn't understand. They say, give me a child until it's 7 and I will show you the man. They've been saying that for 400 years because they knew 7 years was the program period. And 95% of your life after that will be whatever that program is. A child isn't functioning in consciousness until after 7. Before 7 is direct record. Whatever you just said, I just recorded it. So if the parent gets mad at the child, says, you don't deserve that, you don't deserve this, go. The child is not consciously understanding what you mean. Child's just recorded, I do not deserve. Now, if I hear that several times, especially in an emotional situation, because that downloads it faster. Now I'm 40, 50 years old. What is my behavior 95% of the time? And the answer is, well, it comes from the program. I do not deserve. Well, that means unconsciously I will sabotage myself to make sure that the program is correct. I'm making the program true by adjusting the behavior to meet the program. Look, this is not new. I mean, there's a famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And basically said you come from a poor family and you could struggle your whole life and try to get rich, but you're not going to make it. And if you come from a rich family, you could be stupid your whole life and make it. Not because it was thinking, but it was unconscious behavior that was downloaded from rich families into kids, which is unconscious. So they're making the right moves unconsciously. If they engage their conscious mind, then they look stupid, but it's unconscious. And that's the same thing with poor people. Poor people have beliefs from the family. Oh, you can't make it. Life's a struggle. Things are hard. Who do you think you are? And if that's the program you get, then 95% of the day you will sabotage yourself. And that's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich, because the programming. Before I put this knowledge into effect, and I use the word put into effect, why? I had the knowledge academically. It's like, oh my God, look at the research. What does it mean? I understood it from the level. And with all that knowledge, it didn't change my life. People read self-help books. I go, well, you read the book. You got a lot of knowledge. Is your life changed? No. But you got a lot of knowledge. And so here's the difference. The conscious mind is creative and can learn in any number of ways. Read a self-help book, go to a lecture, listen to this, and conscious mind is going to get some awareness. But subconscious mind doesn't learn that way. Subconscious mind learns in two fundamental ways naturally. Hypnosis, which is the first 7 years. And after age 7, how do you put new programs in? Repetition. Practice. You want to drive a car? You didn't learn how by just getting in the seat and put the key in. You had to practice driving the car. You want to learn the alphabet. How many times did you go from A to Z? Try to go to A to Z before you can complete it. And once you completed it, you didn't have to go back and do it again. So 2 phases. You want to train the subconscious mind? Hypnosis, repetition. I like the last one because there's a new phrase that's 9.
And so what's really important about all this is there is now that we've developed, and along with several other people, a third methodology, which is a hybrid between repetition and theta state. And that's what we teach you inside the 7 laws of the mind. So, I've talked about convergent thinking versus divergent and the conditioning that's out there. What actually happens in real life with convergent thinking? What are these programs? Remember, they're below your consciousness. So while you're entitled to your own opinion, you're not entitled to your own facts. That's what my mentor taught me. And I said, holy crap. So I started to observe my life. But let's talk about, we've talked theoretically about these biases, these programs that are in there. I like to call them biases, the ones that are self-destructive. It seems equally effective, but less debilitating, self-sabotaging. But how does it play out in real life? Well, convergent conditioning creates biases. Now, one could make a case that there's dozens and dozens of biases or these programs that are off a tick or two. But our 40 years of collective experience shows, between me, Lori, and Davine, that anyone who replaces the 5 big biases that we all operate with the 7 laws, it's game over. You can do anything you want. For example, and by the way, we've helped over